We're gonna ruffle some feathers today, boys. I wanna talk about APRS. I woke up this morning thinking about APRS, oddly enough. And then I went to my computer and checked the comments for yesterday's video about our off-grid, no cell, no internet POTA activation that my friend Ryan and I did at Elephant Mountain National Wildlife Preserve in the middle of the desert in Texas. And I got a couple comments referring to APRS. One guy said, "Do you even APRS, bruh?" And another guy commented something about using APRS to spot. Pretty much every HT video I ever review, there's always someone asking, does it do APRS? I have many friends, Jason, KM4ACK, Josh, KI6NAZ, and plenty more who swear by APRS. Josh would even go so far as to say that APRS is his favorite mode. Now, I'm not one to bash on any mode in amateur radio. So long as you're playing radio, that's all that matters. I want to be very, very clear about that. I'm a big FT8 guy. There's a lot of FT8 haters. So what? But I find there's two groups of people that are very, very passionate about what they do on amateur radio. One are the CW operators, and two are the APRS people. There's nothing wrong with that. You do what you like. It's been my perception that APRS is this mode that can be used for emergency communications. It's touted as, you know, if you're hiking in the woods and you don't have cell signal, you can use APRS to send a message. You can use APRS to send an email, blah, blah, blah. It's this life-saving mode, okay? So I have a radio that is capable of doing APRS. This is the Yaesu FT5D. And when I got this, I was really excited. I'm like, sweet, I now have an APRS radio. Let's see what all the fuss is about. Now, I'll be the first to say that I haven't dove very deep into it. Pretty much all I've done is beacon while traveling up and down I-45 from either my house to Galveston or my house to somewhere else. And I'll get picked up by several, I believe they're called I-gates or APRS repeaters. That's about all I've done with it. I'm not the kind of person that really cares to send emails whilst portable. In fact, that's the last thing in the world that I want to do. If any of you have actually emailed me, you'll know it takes me a really long time to respond. Sending text messages, that's fine, I get it. If you're out of cell range and maybe in the middle of the desert, you can send a text message to your loved one. People do it all the time, I see. Especially like guys like Tech Prepper. He does that kind of stuff. He'll use APRS to text his wife. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. Here's where the problem lies. I live in Huntsville, Texas, a kind of remote neighborhood or town about 70 miles north of Houston. If I were to go outside and key up with APRS, I won't be heard. There's nothing. There's no one. Now you could say, well, Mike, you could set up a Raspberry Pi and set up an iGate and blah, blah, blah. Sure, I can. But that's beside the point. I have to go, I won't be heard by an APRS repeater until I go about 10 miles south of where I live. The whole reason I'm bringing this up is because last week, my friend Ryan, KF8IV, and I went to Southwest Texas and visited Big Bend National Park. On our way there, we stopped at Elephant Mountain National Wildlife Refuge, and we didn't have any internet connection, so we couldn't even pull up on the POTA website what park number we were at. We'd looked at it before, we knew where we were, we just couldn't remember the number. Not a big deal. The guys on HF were able to look up the number for us and get us spotted and also tell us the number. The point of this is, we didn't have cell service. There are no repeaters around in that area, which means there's no one around to hear you, which means there's no one around to hear your APRS. Furthermore, when we were in Big Bend National Park, which is a ginormous national park, I would guess it's approximately at least 50 miles by 50 miles square. It's pretty big. I beaconed APRS many times while inside that park. Nary a response to be found. So is APRS this great, save me, I'm lost in the middle of the desert mode? In my experience, no. I'll go even further. Kevin, W6RAP, and the late great KG6HQD, the inventor of the KG6HQD speaker wire antenna, God rest your soul, Jerry. Big soda guys. Both had radios that do APRS. Neither of them rely on radios that do APRS when they're climbing the mountains. They always had a backup, like a Garmin InReach or something like that, because that's what is actually going to get out, satellites. The bottom line is, in my humble opinion, APRS is nothing more than a toy. In an actual life-saving situation where you don't have any access to the grid, you're not going to have any access to APRS either. So let me know what you think. Is APRS an actual useful tool for life-saving situations when you're off-grid? Or is it more a toy that we can use simply because it's something we can do? But in my humble opinion, from my experience, APRS in a life-saving situation when you're off-grid is 100% worthless.